Boom, just like that. We are live. We are live, everybody. Welcome to Linked Up on LinkedIn. Peter Clark, Red TV, and we are live on LinkedIn, but we're also live on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and Twitch and everything.com for all the kids out there. So that's what we're doing today. I am freaking pumped today. Super pumped. We don't get people like this hanging around with us very often. So as you can see from the setup in the background here, everything hockey today. So excited. It's International Women's Day, of course, for 2021. So thank you to all the women in my life and in the world's lives to help us be better people out there. And we have a leader here today. Listen, television broke the ceilings here. We're breaking ceilings for broadcasting and hockey. We're talking about a broadcaster, an Olympic champion, a world champion, a keynote speaker, advocate for women's hockey, of course. She doesn't just read books, she writes them. She has a book as well. And just an advocate for all things that today is all about. So I am so pumped to have a very good friend, Cassie Campbell-Pascall. How are you? I'm good, Peter. How are you? Fantastic. I'm so thankful that you decided to join us today. Like, I can't believe that we actually got it to happen on International Women's Day. I can't think of a better person to represent leadership and women and breaking ceilings and all that stuff than you right there. So I'm super pumped to have you. First of all, how are you and how are your family right now? Everything okay?
Yeah, I think like so many people, we're surviving. We've been fortunate enough, knock on wood, to be healthy through all of this. Our families have been healthy through all of this. And but we're in survival mode, and we're just hoping it ends, right? We're hoping that COVID goes away, we get our vaccinations, and we can get back to some normalcy. I think we're all sort of at on our last legs, if you will, just like so many other people.
I know, right? And of course, you being a mom and so on, having you're home more often now. You are normally traveling all the time, so you spend a little bit more time at home. You have somebody going to school at home, so there's a lot of different new nuances that we're all learning to be patient with it. We'll dig into that in a little bit for sure. So we got so much to cover here. This is a very special edition, even though the show is called Linked Up on LinkedIn. You'll never find Cassie Campbell here on LinkedIn. If you try to find, I don't even think you have an account on LinkedIn. So that's okay. Why would you? I mean, you don't.
The less accounts, the better. If I didn't have to have a Twitter account and Instagram account, I wouldn't have that either. I'm not a huge fan of all that kind of stuff, but I also know it's part of our new world. It's not even new anymore, but it's something that I feel I have a love-hate relationship with social media and those types of things.
Okay.
And, sometimes there's some days where I wish no one could get a hold of me, so I try to limit the platforms I'm on. And then there's some days where you're kind of like, okay, it would be nice for someone to get a hold of me. But I have a love-hate relationship with all those types of things.
That's interesting. Well, it's interesting because you're, of course, you're very well known for media now. So that's interesting. We'll dig into that as well a little bit as we go down. But for now, everybody, go to Cassie77.com. So you can go out there. And most importantly, they can learn much more about your story. There's so much to cover. And that's why, again, we can go into every one of your verticals of your story we could dig into for an hour, but we're not going to do that today. We're going to kind of bounce around a little bit, everybody. So Cassie77.com, you find out everything about Cassie, and more importantly, or just as importantly, actually as a keynote speaker. I know you have 3 or 4 different keynotes that you're able to deliver, and you do a great job on that. So I recommend any corporate people out there, C-suite people, you're looking for your next corporate event, boom, right over there. If she's available.
You're going to be my agent.
There you go. We'll work on that. On that. Okay, this is fantastic. So let's start with this. You don't know this, and I hope you, but we have a connection when it comes to the East Coast. I know you have the PEI connection, which is fantastic. I lived in PEI. Did you know that?
I did not know that. No,
I did. And my good friend, well, who else we share East Coast stuff with, of course, with Mr. Peter Hanlon. We grew up in Eastern Canada, but we met each other on the Rock, of course, in Newfoundland. But I spent some time at PEI. So what part of PEI, you never lived there, but your mom came from there. Is that correct?
My dad is actually from there. And my parents used to, I don't want to say ship us there, but because essentially they did, though. They sent my brother and I there pretty much every summer. And we would stay with my gram, and it was just a lot of fun. Like, I feel like I kind of grew up there a little bit, when you spend so much time there, and my family still lives there, and my husband's from BC, but I think I've gotten him to fall in love and love Atlantic salmon better than Pacific salmon, and so he loves going there as well, and we try to go every other year now.
Okay, I love that. And I knew there was a connection there. I'm sorry, I was just I have so many exciting things on my brain there, but I didn't know that it was your dad from there. But you know what? That interesting. It is International Women's Day, so I thought it'd be a great place to start. I mean, your mom. I mean, when I read a couple stats about your mom. Okay, listen, everybody, playing professional football in the 1960s. I mean, we just got to simply start there. But let me ask you about a little bit about your mom and the influence that she might have had on your life, because again, it's International Women's Day. So tell us about, a little bit about your mom. I mean, the fact that she played a lot of sports and so on, and maybe talk to us about the qualities and traits that, that you got from your mom and that you carry forward, through your career and maybe to this day.
I was lucky to have three great parents, actually. I have a stepmom as well, and all my parents were very influential in my life. But my mom, obviously, my parents were divorced, so she was a single mom, and she worked really hard, and she had her own business, and, she was always involved in sports. And I remember the day she told me she played professional football in 1969. And I was like, yeah, whatever, Mom, like as if you did. And then she showed me these little newspaper clippings, and I haven't really been able to dig up too much more information about that league, but I would love to when I, get a chance. That's something I really want to do. It's kind of on my bucket list of things to do. And, she played softball. She rode horses. She trained equestrian horses. She rode equestrian horses. She trained and rode, at the Royal, which is a huge Canadian horse show. And, she was definitely someone that I looked up to, and I was fortunate. And, she was the one that finally kind of convinced my dad, let her play hockey. And I think she always kind of had my back in that sense, even when it wasn't really popular for young girls to play. And, she was just a hardworking person. And I think I learned that a lot from her. And she was a really good people person. She cared about people, and sometimes at her own expense, which I'm trying to learn from. But, she's just great. And I think that's been the hardest thing about COVID is just, I haven't been able to see my mom in person for over a year. Right. So other than on FaceTime and those things, but I think that's been one of the toughest things.
Yeah. So do you think, I mean, you talked about the idea that she played a lot of sports and so on. Do you think you picked up the sports bug from her, or was it more the encouragement of getting involved? Do you think, is that one of the things you carry forward with you from?
Well, I think my parents had good athletic genes. My dad tried out for the junior Canadians under 𝘂𝗏𝗏 Bowman. And, it was, I guess every time I go back to PEI, they're all like, your father was such a great athlete. Your father was this. And, all these people come up to me and talk to me about my dad. So I think both my parents were very athletic. Right. And I think both my brother and I played sports, and it was a big part of our family's lives growing up, whether it was hockey or soccer. And I played every sport I possibly could in school. And that was, kind of the unwritten rule in our house was you have to do well in school and well in extracurricular activities like sport. And the moment those two things slipped, for my mom, that's when the hammer came down. She was pretty lenient as far as allowing my brother and I to kind of grow up and do basically whatever we wanted. But the moment those two things slipped, we felt it. We felt the wrath. So, she allowed us to kind of be independent though, which was nice.
Yeah, that's your East Coast mom right there. It's like, hey, I'll cut you. I'll give you enough rope to do what you need to do with it. But if I need to reel you in, I can totally relate to that. One of the things that I'm just so excited to have you on is because often on this show, I like to talk about leadership and team building and these kinds of things because it applies to life. It's a life skills, things you talk about with your kids, playing hockey. Of course, you learn these kinds of skills as well. And of course, when we're talking about someone like you, who's been a captain for Olympic teams and world championships you've won, there's so many things that you've done. You've been at that highest level. So we always talk about the wins, but you can't win that much without losing, right? It's kind of the Babe Ruth thing. You strike out the most, but you hit the most home runs. So one of the things I saw in researching about you is that you didn't make the team right away. You didn't make it in 1990 and 92. So you joined the national team in 94, but you didn't make it in 90 and 92. So I'm wondering if you can tell us what you learned through the process of not making those teams, and then maybe, how do you use that experience when you're working with young people today?
Yeah, I think, I was 16 and 18-year-old kid when I didn't make the team and thought I was pretty good. I thought I was a really good player, right? And all of a sudden you show up and you're at the Team Ontario camp. And not only did I not make the national team, I didn't even make it out of Ontario, the province I grew up in. I wasn't even part of that list that went on. And I was cocky about it. I was mad about it. I was like, what do you mean? I was captain of Team Ontario. I was, considered one of the best players of my age group. And then all of a sudden you meet these amazing women who are just incredible athletes, and you had no idea, because back then we couldn't watch them on TV, so we didn't know who they were. And, but it was humbling for me. I think that was one of my first humbling moments where I had a lot of success. I captained a lot of my teams growing up, and then boom, you're just hit in the head with the hammer. And I think I learned about that. And I also learned that when I finally did make the team in '94, that I better be willing to do whatever it takes to stay there. And I better be willing to do whatever it takes to win. And I think I learned that just by that humbling experience of not making the team twice in a row, and recognizing that no matter how good you think you are today, there's always going to be someone trying to take your spot. You need to continue to get better and better, especially as an athlete. Otherwise, you stay pretty static and your career won't be as long as I was fortunate enough to have one.
Yeah, and sometimes humility, being humbled, by the way, when you're fairly confident in your own, big fish in a little pond, let's just use that as an analogy. When you get humbled like that, sometimes that can crush you. Obviously it didn't, because the first time you could have just said, I'm not going through that embarrassment again, or whatever you felt it was. And then it happened a second time. So then the third time you had to go back. What made you kind of keep going past that? Because when young people are failing, obviously someone like you as a mentor, they'll be looking up to you for that advice. That could have crushed you. It didn't. So yeah.
I think it's a dream, Peter. I think it was the dream of playing for my country, a dream that when I was growing up, I honestly didn't know I had, right? Until I was 15 years old, 16 years old. And so I think that's the great thing about having success, is honestly what makes it more special than it actually is the fact that you've struggled along the way. Yeah. And I think those of us who've had success at whatever, we're doing, or playing sport or broadcasting or whatever, is when I tell stories about it, I tell stories about the tough times, right? Because those are the things that are the most important to me, the ones that I got the most satisfaction from, the ones that I learned more about myself from, the ones that when you finally, make it to hockey night, you're like, wow, this is what I had to do along the way to get there. Or, finally win an Olympic gold medal, and this is what I had to do along the way to get there. And so understanding that failure is part of the process, and failure is actually where you learn the most about yourself as a person, as a hockey player, as an individual. What needs to change? What do you need to do to get better in life? And, that's kind of a mindset that I've had to tame down as I've gotten older, because you're always striving for this, consistency and perfection as an athlete. And in real life, perfection doesn't exist. So I've learned as I've gotten older to just, I'm still competitive and I still want to be successful and I want to push limits, but I need to pull back a little bit. Otherwise, I'm going to lose my sanity, right? So I've learned to kind of rest and understand the importance of pulling back and not always striving for this and this and this, and taking care of myself. I think that's something I've really learned through COVID is extremely productive. And I've really had that lesson hit me hard during COVID. It's been great.
I think it's a maturity thing too, right? I mean, as we all get older, we have ability to kind of reflect differently, and we're looking through multiple layers of our lives, different verticals of winning and losing, or success, not successful. And I think it's maturity as well. So when you're 22 and you're 42, it's, it's a different thing, right? So it's a different, so I appreciate that. Again, I never want to go past some of the stats that you carry here in Canada when it comes to being a leader and stuff. I mean, I'm talking about, Olympic gold medals and 6 world championships. And I mean, here's a stat that I hope everyone even just takes away with today. You're the only Canadian captain. You've heard this 1,000 times, but I want to make sure people understand this. You're the only Canadian captain, basically male or female, to lead Canada to 2 Olympic gold medals. Not Gretzky, not Lemieux, not Crosby. Cassie Campbell. So I just think that that's an amazing thing. So you've been around leaders, you've been a leader, you've played with many people, you've worked with many people in that world of leadership. So I definitely got to get your opinion on this. What is your definition of leadership? What does leadership mean to you? Well,
I was fortunate, Peter, to lead a group of leaders in women's hockey, and that's where I sometimes think, that stat of, being the only Canadian captain to win 2 is a little overrated, because I had an easy job. I mean, that 2002 team in particular, where we still had the traditional group from the 1990s, and we had these new players coming in, and what they continue to do for the game today is incredible. That group. And to me, that team, that group single-handedly has done the most for the game, because they're still giving back. They were giving back before, they were giving back during. But I think leadership is just about being yourself and who you are, and being vulnerable, and being not afraid to speak up, and being okay to have someone tell you feedback and criticism, and being willing to do whatever it takes to help the team win, to put aside your individual goals, allow other people around you to lead. I think of my athletic career. In 98, I was an assistant captain learning to lead. In 2002 at the Olympics, I was the captain leading. And then in 2006, I was the captain that was trying to push other people to lead around me. And I think that was sort of the evolution of my leadership. And to be honest with you, I think leadership is ever evolving and changing. And, you're always trying to get better. You're always trying to learn. But for me, it was about being myself and who I am, and nothing else. And here I am, and this is what I've got. And I might say the wrong thing. I might do the wrong thing. But it's not because I don't care about the team or care about the people around me. It would just be an honest mistake. And I think that's sort of the essence of leadership, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, that's a great opinion, by the way, and it comes from your stats speak for that. I'm just wondering, as you mentioned, what I did right and didn't do right. I'm just wondering, is there a lesson from maybe something that you did without, if you think of something specific, great, but as a leader, can you think of something that you learned and you right away and you made an outright mistake and you said, wow, that humbled me as a leader. You admitted it and you moved through that. Can you think of anything specific, maybe in a dressing room conversation or?
I didn't have a great year. I was an all-star defenseman, the 97 World Championship, and was named the top defenseman at the World Championship. And then went into that Olympic year with a bit of hype, and everything was new for us, right? It was the first Olympics for women's hockey. And I kind of got a lot of attention and didn't have anyone to go to as how do I handle it, and it wasn't just a lot of attention. It was a lot of attention. It was like new sponsors and things. And all of a sudden you're the face of the game and you're talking about the game and everyone's coming to you. And I think I learned through that Olympics that I really needed to make sure I was taking care of myself through all this training and rest and all the types of things. And, and dealing with those time commitments that I had. And I learned from that loss. Like, I look at that silver medal, and no one in our country wants to remember those Olympics because our men's team finished fourth and we got a silver, right? So it's like, oh, we don't remember those Olympics in hockey. Yeah, but I remember it because that silver medal taught me more about myself than any other gold medal could have. And I needed to be a better player, better leader, better person. But I needed to take care of myself too. And I think that's part of leadership. And, that's one of the biggest regrets in my career, was not having played my best in that tournament for a variety of reasons and maybe a variety of excuses, but really they're just excuses, because that was the last time our true pioneers, France St. Louis, Stacey Wilson, all those great players, that was their only shot at an Olympic gold medal. And I regret not having played as well as I should have. Having said that, I feel that the 11 or 12 of us who went on 4 years later, if we didn't lose, we wouldn't have won in 4 years' time. Like, I just felt we all needed to learn some valuable lessons, and so did the program. And so it was unfortunate, but what did our country won 4 straight after that? So it was all good. Like, all of us learned our lessons, and we're going to get back on track here hopefully soon too.
Yeah, no, that's the thing about, again, back to the humility part. I mean, good leaders, you have to be able to say, hey, listen, how about starting with, I don't know the answer, or I made a mistake. And then that's what teams rally. That's what they rally around. And
collaboration too, right? Bringing other people in, making people feel like they're part of the process. I think that's a big part of being a leader.
Yeah, big time. No one likes to be told sort of what to do, but like I said, no competition within the room, more of a collaborative approach to it. Let me ask you this, because I'm going to speak to, a couple of people that you might know and so on, but I spoke to Matthew Tkachuk. Wait till the kids hear about him in hockey. He's going to be okay. I was talking to him, and he talked about his dad, Keith Big Walt, who would say to him, be a good team player. Be a good team player. So you've been around, you just talked about your team. I love the humility there. You're saying, hey, it was easy for me. Leadership is not easy. So good for you for saying that. You had a good teammates though, there's no doubt. And you had to be a good teammate. So from your opinion, what makes a good teammate? What is being a good team player? What does that mean?
I think in essence, it's about someone who pulls the team up. I've played with some great players that push people down. And I think that the best leaders pull people up. They pull people with them. They come on, here we go. Come with me, and this is what the direction we're gonna go in, and this is gonna help us win. I think a good teammate gives other teammates quality time. You know, sometimes you got to have tough conversations, but those conversations are a little bit easier when you've put the time in and you've gotten to know your teammate and you've taken them for lunch and you've gone for coffee and you've pushed each other at the gym and you push each other on the ice. You know, when you get to know a teammate so intently that you know what makes them tick and you know what lights a fire underneath them, and that takes time. That takes time. And so I do think being a good teammate is about spending time with people, getting to know people, and pulling them along for the ride and pulling them up, you know. How do I make you better? How do you make me better? Those are questions I think good teammates ask themselves. And I think just being a good person, you know, enjoying other people's success. I think a lot of time in team sports, it's so easy to focus on your own individual success. You know, you want to get the points, you want to get the goals, you know, especially in Matthew Tkachuk's situation where it's a bit high profile. Well, it's a lot high profile. And so there's that pressure, and how to balance that pressure with just being a good teammate, you know, and understanding that your individual goals could mean nothing at the end of the season. If you don't have the Stanley Cup, you don't have the Olympic gold medal. So, you know, getting people to buy in, I think that's being a good teammate, getting people to understand that our team's goals are so much more important. And, you know, when you really want to win, when you really care about winning and being successful, your individual stats, your individual goals don't even enter your mind. You know, you're just willing to do whatever it's going to take. So, you know, that's sort of what I think a good teammate is.
Absolutely. You know, and what's interesting about, you know, your experience, of course, and we mentioned Matthew, but it could be any NHL player today, different circumstances with you guys, because you guys were out there as women hockey players. I mean, you're on your own. I mean, it's not like you had this national hockey league, which is globally recognized, where everybody, you know, makes a decent paycheck and everyone's kind of rocking and rolling. You guys are out there just you guys by yourselves. I mean, there was not a whole bunch of fanfare at many times. There was people not lining up to get autographs as you go in at 6 a.m, maybe to go do a skate or whatever whenever you're doing that. So I think it was a little more special how you guys had to kind of support each other. I just wanted to make that almost a commentary. What do you think of that? I mean,
I agree. And that's what I think that 2002 group, we learned what happened in 98, where we kind of got pulled apart a little bit for a variety of reasons. And I won't get into those reasons because that'll take up the rest of the thing. But I think because those of us that went on in 2002 realized how you can be pulled apart as a team, we were really close-knit together, and we were hard on each other. Are you kidding? We said hard things. And
sure.
But I get together with any one of those teammates now, and we just laugh and we carry on and we talk about those hard times and we laugh about them now and we thank each other and we cry. And it's just such a special group. And to do it with no fandom, if you will, no big paychecks. Those of us, I played in 94, you showed up, you got a t-shirt in your stall and a tracksuit, and they were men's sizes. And you were like, you put them on and you just thought you were the cat's meow. Right. So, that generation was really special. It really, really was. And they fought so much and really laid the foundation for, that 90 team and, leading through the 90s. And they laid the foundation for what we have today. I mean, now we have, all the players are sponsored and, they have opportunities, and we're going to have a future professional league soon. And I go back to the early 90s for that group of women who did so many things for the game.
Absolutely. No, you know what it reminds me of? I used to, as a younger person, played in band, play in a band. So when you're in a band, it's just you got, whoever's in your band, and you go into these towns and it's just you guys. And so you guys would be the same. If you're going to play a tournament against, maybe something with the Americans, of course, those were very fun games to watch and so on. It was just you guys, I know the fandom sort of was there, mostly family and friends and stuff, but certainly not at the level so you guys had to pull together. That's why I love it. It was like you're thick as thieves. I love that.
My daughter sang with you, by the way. So at a Flames Christmas party. So that's funny watching her generation do something like that, get up in front of the group and sing.
Right.
And in particular, it's my daughter. And I'm just so proud that she has that in her. She has that in her, the spunk to just get up and do something and try something. And, she got up there and sat with you, and you guys were singing Christmas songs, and that was a pretty special night for sure.
That was fun. No, I appreciate you remembering that. That was a fun time because I agree with you. There was a moment there where you had that conversation with her, and you were saying, hey, no, this is great. Hey, come on up and let's do that and do that. And boy, she stood up and come on up. And I applaud that every single time. Speaking of that, you brought that beautiful young soul up. So let me ask you this. I mean, and I'm kind of jumping around, but I want to I'm going to come back to what you just said about opportunities for women's hockey and stuff. So, but because you mentioned your beautiful daughter, what kind of conversations are you having with her these days to keep her optimistic and so on? Because it's a really difficult time, obviously. She's in all young people are probably struggling a bit, but what kind of conversations are you having as a mom to keep her motivated and inspired through what's going on right now?
Well, I think the same conversations we've always had. We try to, I put her to bed at night, and I still try to stay there for 5 minutes or more or less to at least to talk. How you doing? Are you good? But I think we're having more of them now, and I think I'm checking in with her more. How are you, bud? How was school? How's your friends? What do you think about this? I asked specifically, how you dealing with COVID? What do you need? And I think that's one thing. I think, again, that COVID has given us so many bad things, but I think it's given us so many good things in the sense that we realize that we do value our time with our friends and family, even though in pre-COVID times we were rushed and we're getting through things. But I think we've learned to value that. And I learned that I need to reach out to her more on a consistent basis as her mom. And even, as she's getting older, even more so, I think, she's 10 years old and she's going to start dealing with different things. So yeah, I really try to take the time. And I'm like so many other parents where you go to put them to bed and you're like, just please get to bed. Like, I just want an hour of sanity before I go to bed. And so, but I've learned to just even take 5 minutes just to lay with her in bed and just, how are you? Right. And sometimes she's like, I'm great, Mom. How are you? And it ends up being a conversation that leads into my direction, which then goes back to her. And that's one thing I think we've become, I don't want to say friends because I am her mom and I will, be that separation always, but we have kind of become a little bit better friends through this because we're talking a lot more. And as she gets older and maturing, those conversations are changing, but she's asking all kinds of things about COVID and when is it going to end and what's going to happen? What if I get it? And, all these things. And, just checking in more, I think, has been important for me and for her father. He can't be off the hook just because she's a girl. I can't have all the tough conversations. Like he has to be more engaged too. And he always has been, and he always will be. But I think both of us have learned through COVID that we need to check in with her, on a constant basis.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a crisscross between, again, coming from a leadership role in your life and then bringing it right down back to the mom level and finding that balance of conversation during a very touchy time. A 10-year-old, mind you, a 10-year-old young girl, she's going on probably 16 or 17 in her head, right?
Oh yeah, 20. She's 20. She already thinks she should be driving my car. So she's pretty mature, and she's 10 going on 20 for sure.
Absolutely. So I want to jump back now to the hockey part because you talked about when you played and your team and so on, and you guys were like an island, really, when you think about it. And today you're trying to get professional hockey. You're a big advocate for that. I want to play a clip that I found. So please, it's just a sign of the times, but I'm going to play a clip of you talking about this. I found it fascinating because I was like, wow, we lived through these times of how people thought. So I want you to see this little clip, and then we'll come back and talk about the clip and talk about women's hockey as you see it and so on. So I think people are going to find this a flashback in time. It's absolutely fabulous. I'll be right back with you. Watch this, Cassie. This is back in, I think, 1998. I'm just going to see what happens here.
The women are paid less than $500 a week to be on the Olympic team. The real money and future, as for all amateur sports, lies in commercial endorsements. Hockey women are most marketable when they're tough on ice, but pretty and feminine later. Cassie Campbell is considered the poster girl of women's hockey.
A lot of people talk about, well, you're the poster girl of women's hockey. Well, I wouldn't have been the poster girl of women's hockey if I wasn't a good hockey player, and I think I proved that at the 97 Worlds in particular, being named to an All-Star. And I think if I start changing myself, I don't think it's the media's fault, or all the things that are coming to me. I think it's my fault. And I think I just have to make sure that I stay focused on who I am and don't change myself because of some materialistic things or what people may be critiquing me about. So I think my main thing is that I just stay who I am.
Cassie happens to be very pretty, which is something that also makes it a very attractive package. But it's what she's accomplished that we're trying to communicate.
The women are ready for a league, but their ranks aren't large enough. The age span of the national team is 20 years. There are few other women in Canada of their caliber, but not for long. It took 100 years of hockey women to get the Olympic team. Girls and women played for the love of the game and never gave up. Now the scouts for future Olympic teams will have more players than ever to choose from. Female hockey players of all ages have moved into Canada's national game, and there's no going back.
Wow, what a flashback.
How I was young.
Oh, you're still young, but it was
young
really
and hard I am, I guess.
It's really the meme of what was being discussed there I found fascinating. Yeah. And so I wanted to touch on a couple of those points of, where we are today, because I know that you're just such a big advocate for, obviously you want I know I started with a quote at the beginning of the show in the intro there, you want your daughter to have the option to play professional hockey. So I think that's a very powerful statement and vision and goal to start with. So watching that, how have we done so far?
Yeah.
How have we
done? That's an
done?
Interesting clip for me, because I remember feeling during that time, that 98 year, like I was really kind of centered out. And that was really happening for the first time in women's hockey. We were all teammates and doing things together. And it was hard because I felt uncomfortable with it. Like I didn't understand why Geraldine Heaney wasn't getting sponsors and, other people. And, we had Manon Rhéaume, and obviously she was the biggest name at that time. And, she'd done amazing things and played a game in the NHL, but really that was the year I got centered out. And I mean, you name it, Peter, I had the sponsor. Like I was in every category, and it was tough for me because I was really uncomfortable with it. And I remember, I had to do a Campbell Soup promotion, and I had to sign like 1,000 jerseys. And so I got our equipment guy to keep the boxes in this old storage room at Hockey Canada, so I could just sit there by myself and sign these jerseys, because I didn't want anyone to see that I had these jerseys and that I was doing this, and it just kind of made me feel uncomfortable. But that's the way women's sports were covered. They were always covered based on how you looked,
right, rather
than your performance. And it would, like, you would never go up to a guy and say, well, he's a handsome guy, so that's why he's getting the sponsorships. Right. Like we just covered women's sports so much more about what they looked like rather than what they did on the ice and how they performed. And it was because people were ignorant about it, and they didn't think it was important. And so they covered it a certain way. And so that clip, it brings back a little, fire inside of me, but it also brings back a time where I did feel really uncomfortable in the spotlight and doing that and being the poster girl. And I hated being called the face of women's hockey. I hated it. It was just ridiculous. But that's the reality I was in at that time. And I also felt that if I said no to these opportunities, then I was saying no to promoting the game. Right. And so that it was a bit of a struggle.
It had to be. And I'm just thinking how that might have played out in the dressing room at times. Obviously you wearing as a captain and so on. Did it get that far? Did it go inside there? I
don't think so. I'm going to write a book one day, so I'll tell this story in more detail. But, I do think that had to do with, I was an all-star defenseman in 97, named top defenseman of the World Championship. Struggled in the Olympic year as a 24-year-old player, leader, assistant captain. But I wasn't the only one that struggled. I wasn't the reason why we lost. We all kind of struggled that year to some degree. And then all of a sudden they asked me to play forward. And I believe there were certain people within the program that were hoping I would fail, that were of the old school feminist regime. I hope that's okay if I say that, because I believe in feminism, but I also believe some of the old school feminism actually hurt us because it put some of us together, like against each other.
Sure.
And I do believe that change was made for that reason. And I also believe that I proved people wrong. You want me to play forward? Here I go. And I ended up, being a top forward at our ESO Nationals like 2 years later. And the next Olympics, I played in our top line with 𝘧𝙀𝗎𝗄𝗎 and 𝘬𝗏. And I don't think people who changed my position thought that was going to happen. They thought I would fall. They thought I would crumble. And that's just not part of my mentality. So, yeah, it was an interesting time.
Interesting time. Can you imagine? And this is just more commentary again. It's just, can you imagine what you were dealing with then, in today's world where like you talked earlier, I don't like social, you talk about Instagram and how females have to kind of look sometimes or how they don't look. I mean, it's just an incredible juxtaposition versus what the guys have to go through. I mean,
and little do people know, I could barely brush my hair. Like I was like, I remember doing a thing for Nike and they wanted me to wear a sports bra and these little tights. And I was like, but I wear shorts and a t-shirt to work out. So, and I'd fight for those things. Like, no, I'm going to wear the shorts and t-shirt. And, obviously looking at that clip, I could barely brush my hair back then. And that's the thing though, I think my teammates knew. They knew I wasn't this person on the magazine cover. They knew who I was. They knew. And that's one of the things I'm so proud of is that, to be an A my first Olympics and be a captain my second Olympics and then still remain the captain of the Olympics after that when I'm on my way out, it just gave me a sense of that people understood I was a good person and I was a good leader. And that's all that mattered to me. That's all that mattered.
Yeah. So are we on the right track now for professional hockey? Do you think the options are coming for females today versus what we just saw in that clip? It's obviously, I think they're amplified to some degree for sure.
Well, we're ready. We're ready for a professional women's hockey league. And not to say we weren't ready back then, but we weren't. The talent we have playing the game and the depth of that talent, the high-end talent is better than we've ever seen it before. The depth of that high-end talent is better than we've ever seen it before. We are ready. We are ready for a 6-team WNHL, in my opinion. And I believe it's right around the corner. And I believe it's going to be successful because people want to see it. We have a huge amount of following. And I'm excited for it. And I know so many of us have fought more so behind the scenes than some people, but just so many people have fought to play professional women's hockey, to be paid, not millions and millions and millions of dollars. And maybe we will, who knows, but just to get paid to play your sport would be amazing. Just to have your dressing room that's really cool and you have your own stall, to get sticks, to have free tape, to get a skate sharpening, that's something, those little things don't exist right now. And that's sad that this day and age, we don't have a professional place for women to play.
I super agree with that. And I'm just going to ask, because I haven't heard it anywhere. Interested in if there was a league like that? Ownership, general manager?
Well, ownership, I don't know. I don't know how much money you think I actually make, but if I'm involved, that's great. But I do know this, Peter, I am going to go to the first ever professional women's game, and I'm going to sit there at the end with my daughter, and I'm going to have my baseball hat on, and I'm going to have 2 large beers in either hand. And she's going to have cotton candy and popcorn and whatever else. That's all I know. And that's all I will ask for from the commissioner, Gary Bettman, is I want 2 tickets, and I want really good tickets, and I want 2 free beers, and I want the hat of the team I'm going to be cheering for. And my daughter's going to be decked out, and that's it. That's all I want. And I just want to sit there and just soak it all in.
Oh, well, I have a funny feeling they'll be asking you to play a bigger role than that, but that'll be fun. That's a great dream. That's a great dream. Hey, I want to throw out a whole bunch of, we're getting a lot of I get so many comments are coming in. I just want to show you. Sean Haggerty, thanks for watching. Great show, International Women's Day. This guy's from across the pond, the UK, Cassie. So I'm talking about that. It's from all over the world, which is, I love this. It's all kinds of stuff. There's Michael Ray. This is a cool guy in Kentucky. So he's watching from Kentucky right now. Appreciate that. Here's something about, let's see, who else is here? Duncan. Here, look at this. Boom. Good friend of mine, Duncan Bureau. I don't know if you know Duncan. He's a aviation. He works, he used to be with, everybody, WestJet, Air Canada. Listen, he runs aviation. And anyway, Abu Dhabi. He's watching from Abu Dhabi right now.
Wow.
How cool is that?
Yeah, that is really cool.
That is super cool. Enjoying listening to those, see that fail and keep going. Great lesson for us all, not just athletes. So there you go. And that's what it's all about. So amazing. So many comments in here. I just want to get a couple more up for you. Look at this. Monica, thanks for tuning in. What an inspirational guest for International Women's Day. So many lessons we can learn. There you go, Cassie. So many people here think beautifully stated some of the things that you've said here. Duncan said, we can't lead. Talking about leadership, we can't lead unless we care about ourselves. And give our best. So that was something that you just talked about there for yourself. You had to come to terms with the idea that you were the face of hockey and take advantage of opportunities that may or may not have come again, and then bring that leadership role into the dressing room. So I thought that was very powerful that you mentioned how those two worlds came together as well. Let me just, here's a comment about that clip, cringeworthy. And not for you. I know it was just about the guy was going, well, Cassie is a pretty girl, and but it's all about what she's done on the ice. And I'm thinking, well, okay. But I think Canadian women's hockey and soccer have done have outdone the men for years. That's an interesting comment. Canadian women's hockey or soccer what do you think of that statement?
Yeah, you know what, the women's soccer team, I remember after the 2002 Olympics, I went and spoke to the under 20 team that played up in Edmonton for the World Cup and the under 20 World Cup. And man, what they've done has been remarkable. And I know they watched us. I know they watched us kind of as they grew up. And, to watch what Christine St. Clair has done is remarkable. And for me, for her, is just how humble she is and the success that she has, and her teammates still love her. She just thinks she's one of the girls. And that is leadership to me. I think that's leadership.
Absolutely. No, I couldn't agree with you more. And so, I mean, there's comments coming in from all around the world. I just wanted to let you know that because it is a big day here. And so
thanks for watching. No.
Yes, thanks for watching. Here, I want to do another thing that, again, I just got to get you. So don't get mad at me for the picture, because you just find these things that I just thought
I need to get that link from you. You need to send me that link. I haven't seen that interview in a long time.
I have a special for you in the green room, by the way. He's back and forth in front of his camera, and I just can't seem to get him settled down. He's settled down right now. Okay. And you'll know why I can't get this guy to settle down, but he's finally in front of the camera right now. So I'm going to bring this guy in because I thought I'd reach out to him because it is International Women's Day, and I was so happy to spend this time with you. And I think this fine young gentleman, and I think he. I
hope so. If I'm supposed to and I don't recognize him, oh boy.
This is not. Yeah, it's not Oprah. We're not doing. Hey, this is grade 7.
Like a long lost brother or something. Yeah.
Let's bring on one of your
gosh, Ryan Leslie, how are you, bud?
Oh, hi guys, what's happening?
I knew you'd crash my interview.
An appearance fee, I couldn't pass it up.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love it.
For everyone watching, very quickly, Ryan Leslie, face of, you're going to have to describe exactly. I always ask you exactly what you do, but to me, you're the face of the Flames when it comes on for on air and broadcasting and hosting and all. For me, it is.
Like
I'm just saying.
Boss of the Flames, I feel.
I really do. I mean, I just love tuning in to watch what he does. But he's also been a national broadcaster as well, and so on. But tell everyone very quickly, Ryan, your connection with Cassie.
Cassie and I dated throughout high school. Oh wait, no, that's not true. I basically lobbed softballs up for Cassie to hit some beautiful home runs and grand slams every broadcast. And I want to say this, Clarky asked me to pop on here, and it was my pleasure because I do work so closely with you, Cass, and anybody who's watching or listening, either now or they see this down the road. She is one of the very best teammates I've ever worked with, period. Forget about gender, forget about experience, forget about anything. She's one of the very best teammates I've ever had, and in any capacity. Hardworking, understands television, and informative, creative, and just a person who, and I know, and Cass, I don't know if you guys have touched on this before, but I'm going to say it anyhow. Some people have had a lot of not so nice things to say about Cassie, no matter if it's on social media or what. And I just want to come out and say that that's garbage. It's garbage when she first started. It's garbage in 2021. She is an accomplished athlete, mom, wife, friend, family member. I've met her folks. I'm here to tell you, this is as good a people as you'll find. So anybody who ever decides to be a keyboard warrior and take to social media to criticize either the work or her as a person is a bad person. And I just think that working with her has been a pleasure. And it's a lot harder than people think to walk that line every day, every night, representing the game, being a voice of various teams, and being as informed and as fun as she is. So I just came on to pump your tires, Cass. And
thanks.
right off script here, and I think that's all
I owe you
got,
that bottle of wine, I guess.
Wow. How cool is that?
I know this is maybe kids are watching, but it's funny. He talks about social media and there are some difficult times for sure. But in hockey, what we always used to do, this was one of our things for the national team. I hate to say this, but we would do this. If something bothered us, we would hold up 4 fingers. And you know what the 4 fingers meant was it was a bouquet. And that's kind of how I handle negativity in my life. And but thank you, Ryan, for coming on and almost making me cry, which is kind of embarrassing. But as you get closer to 50 as a woman, you tend to cry a little bit more often. But we have such a good group. We do, between Rick and Kelly and myself and Ryan. We have so much fun. And I come in every once in a while and then leave, and then they accept me. And but we do have so much fun, and we know each other. And on the road, we take care of each other and don't start rumors. But we just have fun, and we know about each other's families. And we've had some good times for sure. We've had some really, really good times. And
you know what, Clarky, I'll jump in. You know what, during COVID, out of nowhere, Cassie Campbell dropped off a couple of bottles of Tragically Hip wine. Oh, probably when I needed it most. She just dropped them at the doorstep and left. And I'll tell you, that was one of the nicest little gifts, and little assists. It was just wonderful. And you're right, we do have great fun on the road as a group. We have, the kids are in and around. We're at various functions together. It's a hoot. And again, the great thing about Cass is she's earned everything. She's earned it. And I think in this day and age, it's just so great to see somebody succeeding who's put the work in, who's put the time in, and is beloved by all of her teammates. I think that's about as good as we can all hope.
Jeez,
thank you. Cassie, thank you so much for coming on.
Now I'm going to go and just be the jerk that I am. But no, she's great. So thanks for having me. That's all I got.
Oh, no, Ryan, I super appreciate you jumping on, because, again, you guys work so close together, and we talked about team building earlier, and that's something that obviously Cassie's great at in history of playing hockey and so on. But you guys are a team putting out great broadcasts. It's very difficult. I don't know, people think just because technology has improved. I mean, you guys are teammates. You guys have to know each other. You play off each other. You have to be in sync with each other to do the best work that you can for everyone to enjoy the games and so on. And you guys do a great job of that. So, Cassie, I don't know what to say to that other than, hey, I like Tragically Hip wine too, just so you know.
Yeah, okay, well, I can figure out how to get some bottles of wine too. I was like the wine lady during COVID. I would just go and drop off wine at people's houses to keep them sane, and so that was fun.
That'll work for me.
Hey, one time we were in Los Angeles, and we were out for dinner, and just because she was feeling like, you know what?
I was happy.
I don't know how long we had been on the road together. She came. We were out for dinner, a nice dinner, and Cassie just looked at the server and said, "You know what? I'm gonna have this nice bottle of 𝘂𝗄 Special Reserve." And she treated the table to what I think she had to get a paper route afterwards to make ends meet on it. But it was
and
the
I
most
told you guys, don't tell my
husband
it
was the nicest gesture.
Woo. Yeah, it was
that's
fun.
fantastic.
But their special group here, they deserve that wine. So.
There you go, Ryan. Before you go, seriously, before you go, I first of all, this is why I love having you on, because you again, your spirit and your energy is good. First of all, you are a professional. That's what I love. But you don't act like that with me, so I appreciate that as well. Let me ask you this question though. You know what it takes to break into this game of broadcasting. Just as a male, I mean, let's face it, it's a different battle for someone like Cassie in the past, because they're going to judge her differently, no matter what her experience is. Can you speak to that real quick of, how you've seen Cassie and other members of the media have kind of sort of moved through that?
Well, you know what? I actually covered Cassie when she was an athlete, when I was just starting out. Sorry, I know you're still an athlete, Cass. I mean, when your career was still going, and I was covering her career as mine was just beginning. Oh. And I would go out to the Oval and catch up with her here in Calgary, and it was great, because I got a chance to watch her play, and then I got a chance to watch her from afar. My path was kind of going a different route, and then it was great to see them intersect. It was a real thrill for me to be able to say that I got to cover her, and then I got to work with her on many broadcasts, actually, some really good ones that I'm quite proud of. And as far as the industry itself, I mean, I really, I think it's incredibly important, inclusion, diversity. But I also think it's equally important to have equality and put the quality in equality. And I think with Cassie, it's just been, it's never been about female or former athlete. It's just about a hard worker. It's about somebody who took on the new career of her chosen career, a new chapter, and earned it and went for it. I still remember when Cassie and I joke on set sometimes about Bob Cole. You're gonna be okay, girl. You're gonna be okay. Yeah. I remember watching, and I just think when it's legitimate and you earn it, you truly earn it, and you bust your tail. I don't care who you are. Good things are gonna happen. And for Cassie, great things have happened because she's worked incredibly hard, is incredibly talented. So that's how I look at the industry. Everybody's got their own preferences. Everybody's got who they like on air, who they don't like. And that's a part of it.
Sure.
As long as we keep it on side. But most importantly, when you earn it, I don't think anybody has a problem with it.
Wow, fantastic. Cassie, what can you say? I mean, that's just, hey, I don't know. I love Ryan's work, and if Ryan's saying those things, I know that that he means it because he is a pro himself. So I just think it's a great tribute to today for sure for International Women's Day. So, hey Ryan, I super appreciate you being here, buddy. We're going to do a show together. You know that, right? We're going to do something. We got to hang out together and do something.
Sure. Yeah, anytime.
Probably drink something.
Maybe International Bald Guy Day.
Yeah. I know. Look at it.
Thanks for having me. I'll let you guys get back to it. All the best.
All right,
Cheers,
buddy.
man. Thanks, bud. Thank you.
Thank you. That's fantastic. How cool is that? I don't know.
Special.
What are your thoughts when he says stuff like that? I mean, I'm just saying, like, you're super well respected in the industry, and I love the idea that he said you've earned it. You've earned it.
Yeah. Well, and going back to giving people time, like what impresses me about what Ryan said more so or did there was he just gave me time, right? He gave me time out of his day. And I think that's part of leadership too. But honestly, we have a good team and we make fun of each other and we try to keep it light. We don't take each other so seriously. And so it's cool to hear your colleagues come on and say something like that. And he has 2 daughters and he's a great father. And it's nice when they have your back. So it's good.
Yeah, that's that teammate stuff again, right? I mean, I love that so much. Hey, let's jump to this. I again, don't get mad at me for this. This is just basically, I just got to ask this question because I love it. I love this picture when I found it. I thought it was so cool.
Oh man,
look at that
That's
face.
94.
Look at that face. 1994. Cassie, 20 years old. Look at that. Joined Canadian squad after playing at the University of Guelph, 93, 94. And here she is at 20 years old. I'm just curious. Have a look at that face right there. We just saw a clip of you, obviously, in 98 as well. What do you say to that fine young face right now? If you would go back and have a chat with her right now and say, hey, listen, you're 20 years old.
Yeah, I'd say get in the gym. Go to the gym. That's what I would say. I went to the University of Guelph, and so right around that time, I was playing for 2 teams. I played for Mississauga, Toronto Arrows, and then the University of Guelph. And we were on the ice like 6-7 days a night playing. And you kind of had to play for multiple teams back then if you wanted to kind of be an elite player. And I remember just feeling like I never had any time to go to the gym. It was just, I was playing so much and going to school, and I had a part-time job. And so I'd look at that girl and I'd say, hey, go lift a weight or 2. Start your fitness regime earlier than I actually did. And so I think that, but I think just from a leadership perspective, I think I would say to that girl, be who you are. And I do believe that I was at that age. This is who I am. This is the energy I bring. This is what I got. And if you don't like it, it's okay. But, I had a lot of fun playing for that 94 team, learning from France, St. Louis, and Angela James, and Manon Rion played for that team. And we just had such a great group of women back then. And I was just this young kid coming in, making it for my first time. And I think believing I belonged on that team was really important too for me. That was a real change in not making it 2 years prior, twice prior to that, and to believe you belong. And I remember a teammate saying that to me during the tryout. And that was a big change for me. And those sweaters, I still have that sweater because our World Junior team wore those sweaters. So we knew we were going to get them next year because that's kind of how it worked. And I still have that sweater. It's in one of those tight knit air suction bags or whatever. And I still have it downstairs. So it's It's pretty cool.
I love it. I love it. But I like what you said, the idea that you deserve to be here. That would be some advice. You would take away a lot of that. You probably carried a lot of self-doubt, obviously, at times. And you needed to hear someone say, hey, listen, you're supposed to be here. You wouldn't be here. I think you said it actually in that interview, which I liked. You said, I might have been the face and so on, but I'm not here because I'm a good hockey player. I wouldn't be recognized. So I think you were owning it at that time as well. So that is great advice for the younger self. So appreciate you sharing that with us as well. Hey, let's go down memory lane real quick. I'm going to show you a couple pictures. You won't cry or anything. You might, but you never know. I don't think you will. I'm going to just show a couple pictures, and I want you just to first thing that pops in your mind, and maybe share that with everyone watching right now. So I think it's just kind of cool. I call it reflections. That's what we're calling it. We're going to do some reflections with Cassie. That's what we're going to do. We're going to do some reflections. So I'm going to throw this up. I'm just go through it real quick, and you just tell me what pops in your mind as we go through this. Okay.
Yeah. So okay, here we go.
How's that guy?
Wow. I have that picture in my office. What a great man. I might even cry, Mr. Bob Cole. And that was a game, actually, we worked together in Ottawa. The very first game we worked together was in Toronto, Calgary at Toronto. My second day on the job, I got to work with that man. How lucky am I? Wow. And real special moment in my broadcasting career. And we have a connection from that night that sort of stuck with us throughout the rest of our career. And I have that exact picture up in my office. And just that was a special, that particular picture is not the first night we worked together, but it was another night that we got to work together, and he was awesome.
Fantastic. Of course, he's from the Rock. You know that as
well.
Yes, yeah. Yes, who else is from the Rock?
Anytime I went to Newfoundland, he'd come out and he'd meet me for a beer. He always had the rum and the Coke, but I had a beer, and he would always come out and meet me. It was just awesome. Yeah. I
love it. Hey, well, listen, I'm from the Rock. And so, listen, this guy is an absolute legend when it comes to, we grew up on that voice. And, that voice, believe it or not, and Danny Gallivan, I'm going way back now, but we're going way back then. So good for you. I mean, that's an amazing photo right there. And that's, again, a glass ceiling broken right there for you. Who's this bunch of people?
Oh, man, that's a Canadian Women's Hockey League broadcast. Actually, I think that's the final championship that was ever broadcast before the league folded. And so Carolyn Cameron, Nikki Reyes, Natalie Spooner, current player, myself, then Jennifer Bottrell, who's now working on Hockey Night in Canada and Rogers Sportsnet with us, and former player, obviously. Michelle Mathot, who's in the background, who just was this amazing producer for this International Women's Day thing we just did. And Leah Hextall, who became the first woman to do play-by-play in the NHL, and just really strong group of women. And that was a real special broadcast. We had all women doing the broadcast for the very first time. And John Bartlett, amazing man, kind of stepped aside because he was doing the Canadian Women's Hockey League a lot, and let Leah step in and get that experience as play-by-play. So special group. I love that picture.
That's a great picture. Yeah. That's a great picture. Here's a good-looking bunch of people. Who is this? What's going on here?
Oh, man. You're going old school on me. This is the University of Guelph. And gosh, look at these women. We won the championship there in 1995, and we kind of had no business winning the championship because I was the only national team player, and we beat U of T, who was, had 6 or 7 players. And we were inducted into the Guelph Griffins Sports Hall of Fame, I would say 2-3 years ago now. And this is the group of women who came back for the celebration. Almost our whole team except for 2 players. And honestly, this is one of the highlights of my career. It's right up there with Olympics. It's right up there with World Championships. It's like, I love these women and what they've done for the game, and just amazing players. And boy, that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun.
It looks like a lot of fun. And I love that. I heard you tell that story, and I said, I got to find this group. I got to find this group. Hey, let's talk about your book real quick. This is a book, everybody, that exists out there. And I'm curious if you want to comment, not just on the book itself, but the book was written some time ago, meaning that I'm wondering, over the last decade or so, what would you add to this book right now? What would you add that you think would be important?
I'm actually currently working on 2 other children's books, so I'm really excited about that. You know what? I think I don't have anything about my broadcasting career in this book. It was written just before really I started with Hockey Night. And my whole thought with this book is I wanted it to be for kids, girls in particular, but all kids between the ages of 10 and 15, which I think they're pretty vulnerable ages. And so anyway, I wrote this book, and I wanted it to be not just about me. I wanted it to be about my team and the teams I played on. And so each chapter is about a letter in the word heart. And for example, H is hard work. And so I tell stories about the National Women's Program and playing hockey. And, you know, it was the sad thing about this book is the publisher went under about a year later. And I know there's like 1,000 copies of this book somewhere sitting in a warehouse, and I'm dying to get my hands on them. So if anyone's watching that knows anyone that used to be with Fenn Publishing, and you can get me my books back for free because I think they're my books, I really would love to get those books back. But I know there's a ton of them sitting in a warehouse somewhere, and it was just kind of an unfortunate thing. But I'm going to put 2 more books out, and hopefully the kids can get their hands on them.
I'm going to get the details from you. I know you just said it here, so people repeat. Just everyone go back and listen to that recording and see if we can. Let's track that down. That's you just made that. We'll put that out to the meme. We're going to find it. We're going to solve this for Cassie. So good to know that. Yeah, I think, like I said, just because there's so much has happened with you since, there would be a lot of cool things in there. Look at this fine young gentleman sitting next to you. What's this all about?
Oh, that's our Governor General, former Governor General, and this was just. I don't know. I got the Order of Canada, and you just pinch yourself for these moments. And my parents got to be there, and my husband was there, and it's just a real special ceremony. And I can tell you, I was asked, we have a dinner together with all the other Order of Canada recipients. And, you know, these people have found solutions to cancer, cures to cancer. They're like these smart, really intelligent people. Like, I left that dinner realizing I need to start reading a lot more books. But we sat at this table, and they split us up as couples. And so, you know, my husband was across the table, so we got to know each other. But then the Governor General asked me if I would come and speak, and to the whole group. He chose me and another gentleman. And I said, what? You want me to speak to this whole group of like really intelligent people? And they gave me like 2 minutes to prepare. And I remember getting up there thinking, what am I going to say to these people? And I was blown away by the talent, the intelligence, the charisma, the passion of these people for the fields that they were in. And I got up there, and all I knew how to do was talk about the sport, right? And talk about passion and talk about Canada and the country we live in. And it ended up working out, but what a night it was, what a special ceremony. And that's something that's going to be in my book too. I want to write about the people that I went in with, and I want to write about the people I sat at the table with. And, you know, it's pretty. Like, I think one of the gentlemen that I sat at the table with, like, has a cure for cervical cancer. And I was just like, why am I here? All I did was play hockey, you know? And so it was pretty cool. It was really cool.
Well, I put it up for that very reason, everybody. Just anyone who doesn't know what the Order of Canada is, it is a super big deal. You know, they don't just walk around handing these things out. So good for you. You deserve to be there, obviously. So I brought it up because I do think that is worth, you know, talking about and mentioning for anyone who's watching, especially outside of Canada and not basically understanding what it means and so on. Working with young people, look at you there. What does this smile bring to your memory bank?
Yeah, I work for Scotiabank. I'm a Scotiabank teammate. I've been there for 15 years. And this company, I've worked with a lot of sponsors. I've been very fortunate, but this company is special because they've really had an impact on my sport, and they supported my sport. They've supported my dreams within our sport. And so this is us at a Scotiabank Girls Hockey Fest. And this year we're doing it virtually because, of course, of COVID, but we're still doing it. And it started actually yesterday. And then we have 4 or 5 more weekends we're doing. But this is one of the greatest companies. It is the greatest company I've ever worked for. And it's an amazing group of women that we have in our little niche of Scotiabank Girls Hockey Fest. And the great thing about this is 𝗪𝗏 who, yes, is a descendant of Dave Keon, the Keon. She took this camp when she was little. She went to the Scotiabank Girls Hockey Fest, and I was there. And now she's running it. Now she runs it. And it just blows me away. And we took a picture of her and I back then that she had, and then we did the same picture of her and I now. And it was kind of neat. Yeah,
full circle.
It has. It's been a special program for sure.
I wanted to throw that out because you do more than just this. You are very, very active in your community. You have multiple different charities and things that you talk about on your website, everybody. So I just wanted to make sure, I'm going to put that up real quick here. Make sure you go to Cassie77.com. and you'll see the partnerships that you have. And so philanthropy, giving back and making a difference is part of your DNA. So I appreciate that. I wanted to make sure we threw that up there for everyone to see. Okay. So who's that person sitting next to you? Who is that?
This is another just a remarkable experience in my life. I got an opportunity to work with Michelle Obama in Saskatoon, Edmonton, and Calgary. And she came on a Canadian tour, and I did the interviews. And I remember meeting her for the first time in Saskatoon about 10 minutes before we went out on stage. And she's a hugger, and so am I. She doesn't like to wear dresses, and neither do I. And we don't like the fluff of what we were doing. And we bonded over that 10 minutes. That it was a weird thing. Like it was like we became kind of friends in a weird way. And anyway, she walked out onto the stage in Saskatoon, and because I had just told her I live in Calgary, she kind of got mixed up with where she was. And she came out and she's like, "Hello, Calgary." And I could feel the crowd. And I said, in fairness, everybody, I said, in fairness, everyone, 2 seconds before we just walked out here, I told her I live in Calgary, but I said, "Hello, Saskatoon." And then she looked at me like, this girl's got my back. And she was like, "That's right. Hello, Saskatoon." And she lost it. And she was amazing. That is a humble leader right there for everything that she's accomplished and who she is. She's a wonderful mom. She's a wonderful human being behind the scenes. Like, she has her handlers and her people with her, but this lady is as real as it gets. This woman is as real as it gets. And that was such a thrill to be part of that. And I actually surprised my mom. I flew her from home to Calgary, and she came. My friends rented a limousine. I got to bring like 12 friends. Wow. And they brought my mom to this. And my mom, I remember telling her, "Mom, I'm going to interview Michelle Obama, and you're going to come. So bring like a nice outfit." And she looked at me like, "Well, why you? Like, why are you interviewing Michelle Obama?" Yeah, right. And Michelle and I actually bonded over that story because she said when she was leaving to Canada to do this, she said to her mom, "I'm going to Canada." And her mom was like, "Well, why are you going to Canada? They don't know who you are there." And she was like, "Well, I kind of was the former first lady." And it's funny how our moms have always kind of kept us humble. We had that bond as well.
That's a great story. Just to be in that presence. I know what you mean by that. When you're in the presence of people that really have lived at just at a different level. I don't mean better. I just mean they just lived in you just feel it, don't you? You just feel being around that. So I can imagine that was an amazing thing.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Really. I have a frame down in my basement. I finally got a picture framed of the two of us. And
100%. Don't blame you on that call. That's a good call right there. Here's something I wanted to, I found this on Twitter, and I just want to read it to you. Growing up, Cassie Campbell was one of my idols, and her transition to broadcasting inspired me. Collaborating with Cassie on this impactful piece has been a highlight of my career. And that's from one of your associate producers for NHL on Sportsnet. I mean, gosh, that's a powerful public statement by somebody to say how much you've inspired them and almost mentored them. What does it mean to see things like that?
Yeah, so Michelle was actually in that picture of the Canadian Women's Hockey League broadcast as well. She was our stats person at that point. And this kid is remarkable. I mean, she's going places. She already is places. And she's going to be one of the best producers in hockey. Not female producers, just producers in general in hockey. Right. And so she actually just produced my International Women's Day. And I say mine. It was Sportsnet's International Women's Day feature where they allowed me to feature great people in women's hockey. So I gave her the people and the people I wanted in it. And, she did some research, and then I wrote it. And she put it all together and made it magic. So she's a bright young star in the game of hockey. That's not female game, not male game, just the game of hockey.
Yeah, I like when she said growing up watching. So she obviously watched you, followed you, and then watching your transition. I think that speaks volume right there. That speaks volume.
It also reminds me of how old I'm getting when I hear that, because she's got to be in her 20s, and I'm like, oh boy. Yeah. But anyway. Yeah.
Well, that sweater we just saw has his 20-something. It's probably the sweater that you have there, vacuum packed.
Coming back now.
It's probably older than her.
Now, it'd be cool.
Yeah. But that sweater's probably older than her, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah. You're probably right, Peter. You're probably right.
Yeah. Here we go. Look at this sad news we experienced. And I know that you sent your love. And one thing you said here, lucky to have spent time with Walter. For anyone watching right now who probably might not follow hockey as closely as Cassie, obviously, and other people in Canada and around the world, this is Wayne Gretzky's dad, who just passed away, pretty much known as Canada's hockey dad, if you will. But you talked about here, you spent time with him over multiple Olympic Games and charity events and so on. Talked about his generosity, being humble, demeanor, and just passion for life. Tell us your thoughts about Walter.
Yeah, you know what? I think all of us felt like we've lost a father, right? Like we kind of all felt like we knew him to some degree. And I was fortunate through Hockey Canada events, and my husband was very close with Wayne Gretzky, still is, and spent a lot of time with our men's program. And, for me, Walter, you'd see him at charity events and different gatherings and different Hockey Canada events. And I said this on the air on Saturday night, that you could be having your worst day and you run into Walter Gretzky and all of a sudden it's your best day, because he makes you feel like you are his best friend. And he just has that, he had that uncanny ability about him, and just a great person. And his son is great too. Wayne is, for all the accolades and how big his ego could be. And he is a humble guy too. And I think he really got that from his father and his mother, Phyllis. And so just a real sad time that was, for sure. And to watch the funeral online the other day was tough. And, you wish more people could be there to celebrate this wonderful life. And so, yeah, that was really sad news, because I think all of us in Canada felt like we lost a piece of our father in a weird way, like a piece of us. And so, yeah, shout out to all the dads out there.
Absolutely. I know it's International Women's Day, but I wanted to bring that up because, good for you. I mean, to have that experience with Wayne and his family and Walter. Never had a chance to meet Walter. I met Wayne once or twice, but never Walter. And gosh, like you said, you feel like you know him. I mean, you really feel like you know the guy. And so it was sad news, no doubt about that. Who are these good-looking people right here?
Well, that's my husband on the left, Brad Pascall, who is the assistant general manager of the Calgary Flames. Edmonton Oilers fans just need to get over it. Yes, he works for the Flames. And I've been doing my job for 17 years and 15 years and his for 7. So anyway, people seem to have an issue with me calling Flames games when my husband works for the team. But and there's our daughter, our beautiful daughter, who was probably 7 at that time, 6 or 7.
Yep.
And this is us getting a little family photo. And yeah,
that's fantastic. I mean, if you think, I'm just curious. I mean, obviously over the last 12 months specifically, let's say you spend obviously much more time together and so on. When you see that, are people recognizing how tight your family is? Do you see a difference in what's happened over the last 12, 14 months with your family?
Yeah, we don't put a ton out there of our daughter. We do put a few things here and there, but we don't. We're really kind of private in that sense, and that's sort of a separate life for us, obviously.
Sure.
But we have spent a lot of time together. We really have. At the same time, my husband, when he had to go back and start traveling with the AHL team, it was kind of exciting too. I think he needed the break, and so did I. And I think a lot of couples and marriages are going through that kind of thing where we're not used to spending this much time together, and you're figuring out how much you do love each other. And unfortunately, some people are figuring out how much they don't. And so for us, those are my core people. That's them right there.
I got it right there. It reminds me of an old funny sort of make fun of a country song. How can I miss you if you won't go away? So
yeah. You could probably sing and play that song.
I think that's a country song. And I had the great pleasure of singing with that fine, beautiful young soul there. So that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun indeed. I'm going to listen, I just want to make sure I throw up a couple more. We're going to have some fun. I know I got to let you go because you got so much to do. It's International Women's Day. There's so much stuff out there. Here's something here. My mom is the biggest hockey fan I know that loves the game. So there you go. There's a shout out to moms who love hockey. Super appreciate that. And like I said, we're getting some, here Peter's talking about, let's get a look at shot of Screech. I guess that's back to the Bob Cole stuff.
Yeah. I've been screeched in before many times, actually.
You're honorary Newfoundlander. There you go.
I know.
Honorary Newfoundlander. I love it. Well, if anyone wants to know, Screech is basically rum that's famous to come from Newfoundland. It's actually originally from
awful. It's terrible stuff.
Well, but you could drink it, or you could fix your roof with it. You could fix your roof with it.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, let's have some fun. I went into some territories there. Listen, there's so much to cover. You know that. I told you that just before we went on the air. Everybody, no disrespect to. If I went through just her career, we'd be here for 6-7 more hours. Okay, so please go to her website, to Cassie's website. You'll know what I'm talking about. We're talking about hockey royalty here in Canada. So let's have some fun right now, because I want to get inside before I let you go. The inside the mind of Cassie Campbell. Inside the mind of Cassie Campbell. So I come up with something called This or That. It's called This or That. I'll just say 2 things, and then I just want you to pick one of them, and then there's no right or wrong answer. It's just this or that. That's all it is. It's this or that. So let's go with this. Let's start with this. Whiskey or wine?
Wine.
Wine. Okay. Don't like whiskey at all? Just curious.
I turn into a one-eyed Willy when I drink whiskey. I wine or beer. No other types of alcohol for me.
That's good to know. Yeah. Good to know for gifts. Yeah. Good to know for gifts. Supergirl or Wonder Woman?
Wonder Woman.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. 60s music or 80s music?
80s.
Oh, so that's the hair. See, we're stuck there too. I know.
Yeah.
Stuck with the hair. That's as simple as that. Convertible or truck?
Ooh, truck.
Ah, yeah. Well, you have, kids. You guys are very active, sports and stuff like that. Okay, watch this one. Be careful here. We're going to go for dinner now. A feast of PEI seafood or an Alberta steak dinner?
Oh, that's mean. PEI seafood.
Ooh, boom! There you go, everybody. You heard it right there. Yeah, that's amazing stuff down there. Absolutely. Vacation, traveling time here. Europe or the Caribbean?
Well, Mexico, I guess, but that's not really.
That's Caribbean. That's close.
Yeah, I would say hot. Yeah.
Yeah, you like hot. Okay, so have you traveled? Have you been to Europe? No. Have you traveled? You've traveled through Europe with hockey, I'm sure. But
yes.
Did you get a chance to see a little bit of Europe, or was it really just to the Rank Hotel and that kind of stuff?
No, we did. We got a chance to travel and be, all over the place. So, yep.
Okay, got it. Okay, sports movies. Miracle on Ice or Rudy?
Well, Miracle on Ice because it's hockey.
Okay. Fair enough.
But Rudy was pretty good too.
Yeah, that was a very good one. Absolutely. We'll find out what hour of the day is best for you. Sunrise or sunset?
Sunset. Sunrise is not good around here. I am not a morning person. I try to be, but no, it's awful.
Okay. Hey, it's okay. Yeah. I'm going to get you to spend a day with somebody right now, seeing that you're a sports person and a broadcaster. So here's your choices. A day with Billie Jean King to talk about sports, or with Oprah to talk about broadcasting.
Well, I'm going to say Oprah because I feel like I could reach out to Billie Jean King if I wanted to and talk to her at any time because she's a huge supporter of women's hockey. Oprah, I feel like she'd be a little harder to reach out to. So I'm only going to say Oprah because of that. I think that it would be a one chance opportunity, and Oprah. Fair enough. Hope or freedom? Hope, because I think hope is freedom, right? Hope gives us freedom. It gives us the chance of doing anything we want to do, right? So I think hope. That was long-winded answer. Hope. No, that's fantastic. No, there's no right or wrong on that one for sure. Finish this sentence for me if you can, you can. I love my life because it's fun. It's fun. Yeah, you have a fun life. I agree with that. You're surrounded by great people. You do great work. You have a history in our country of everyone has just, they love you, they support you. I mean, life is good. It's fun. Yeah. I like to have fun too. I mean, what's the point of living if we can't have too much too? It's so serious out there these days. That's why everyone's so serious. Right. Yeah. You gotta have to. Okay. So, and now I mean this, I said this was going to be the last thing. I got to show you something. I really got to show you this right here now before you go, because I've talked to, the rule that in the NHL, you have to have that third goalie, right? I mean, you have to have that third goalie there all the time. And because if two goalies get hurt like a backup, you'd pull the guy out of the stands or somebody to pull out of the stands. So when I talked to Brad Treliving and I talked to Marty Jalina and I talked to Matthew, and I showed them that I used to play hockey and I still do. I'm a goalie. I don't know if you know that. There's my pads. I did know. Yeah. I wasn't sure if those are your pads or yes. You know who they used to belong to? That's old Roman Turks. Roman Turks. Wow. Yeah. So they'd be big. Because he was a tall guy. Yeah. Gigantica. Yeah. So they served him better than me, just so you know. And of course, like I said, there's my mask over there. So I do wear the Canadian mask. So I know you would like wearing a Canadian jersey and so on. But I reach out to those guys and say, you know what? I think I could still play for the third goalie if I had a chance. So I know you play and of course you're known. I just want you to judge me right now and say, do you think Peter could play? So I want to show you a couple highlights and you could be honest. You could just say, so this is me just getting ready. Look, got all the gear. So they don't have to give me the gear. No one's in the stands or anything. First play of the game. I missed watch the save. Boom. Look at that. Watch this. That's not really you, is it? It is so. Watch. Boom. Look at that save. Wow. That's Dominic Hasek stuff, isn't it? And you literally just put your equipment on as they were coming towards you in a rush. So that's even more impressive. Now, did you get up? Were you able to get up? Watch the stacking this pads. Watch this. Boom. Throw the pads up. Boom. Wow. What do you think of that? Hey, whatever, I'm not sure what your technique is, but whatever works is the technique. Whatever works. And I'm impressed. You can move for,
Hey, I'm in my
We're not two
50s.
young spring chickens.
This is a young lady that plays college hockey. She almost scored there, but that glove just came sweeping up. She plays with us. She's a fantastic hockey player. I'm missing the name right this second, but there it is. Oh, boom. I think I could still play, Cassie. What do you think?
Now, are those the only 3 highlights from that game?
Watch this. Oh, look at that. Boom. Another glove save. I don't know what to say to you. I mean, they do score the odd one. Don't kid yourself. But look, I mean,
is it a GoPro behind you, or like who's filming it?
That's a GoPro.
Yeah, wow.
Hockey night. Look, you tried to look. There's this flashing the leather again.
Is this really you? Honestly.
I swear. Listen,
okay.
I will send you pictures.
My apologies.
Look. Boom. Look at that guy. I don't know.
Okay, did you hurt yourself right there? That would be my question.
Yeah, I did a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I tweaked a little bit there. So, I just want to know, like, if we played together, do you think you could score? Do you think you could?
Yes. Yeah. Without question.
You said,
even in this generation that I'm in right now, I barely play anymore. I get on the ice with my daughter, but yes, I could score on you.
Oh, God, that is.
And don't challenge me to it, because I won't do it.
No, I'm not going to challenge you, but I just love the fact that you said it so quickly and so matter.
One shot, 1 goal.
Wow, I don't know when and where. We'll figure it out. It's okay. I so appreciate you being here, Cassie Campbell-Pascall. You are phenomenally important to our country in hockey, just so you know. I want to throw that out to everybody to understand who we're talking to. Go out to the website. I want to make sure everyone sees that. Let me throw that up real quick for you. You won't find her too much on social media, just so you know. And you're not going to
there, but I...
love-hate relationship. It's okay. 𝘵𝐶ie77.com. Go check that out. If you're anyone in organizations right now watching this, C-suites and so on, you have corporate events. Hey, she's also a speaker and working on another book or two, which is exciting stuff. So I'm happy for you on that. Say hi to your family. Of course, to your little soul. Keep her singing. Make sure she keeps singing and all that kind of stuff. And we'll see
you at a Christmas party soon.
We will see you somewhere in a Christmas party somewhere. Yeah. Absolutely. Thanks, everyone, for watching. And just as we always end it, Cassie, here on, it's International Women's Day. So call somebody, tell them how much you care about them. And hey, be kind out there. How about that? Be kind out there. Cassie, I'll show you a quick video of what it really looks like when I'm playing. I'll show you a quick little video, and I'll see you on the other side. See you, everybody. Be kind out there.
Cheers.